From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
And I'm Jennifer Landa.
And this is the return of Star Wars Rank. That's right, one of our old podcast shows ran for 148 episodes from early 2016, past Rise of Skywalker, and then up until that little pandemic thing, which changed a lot of the ways we recorded and just changed our direction for the show. Star Wars Rank. We ranked so many episodes, Jen, so many things that I think we ran out of things to rank, but we're returning to the fold today. I'll explain how it works, but are you ready to rank again?
I am ready to rank.
Ready to rank. So we'll just say right now what we're watching today. First of all, hi, welcome. Some of you might be kind of new and be like, oh, what is Star Wars Ranked? We used to do a show that was a topic. Like today is best Ewok moments, our favorite Ewok moments. We changed it from best to favorite at one point to highlight that it's an opinion. But our favorite Ewok moments. And we used to rank, we would each come in with a list of 5. And we work our way 5 to 1. We exchange the lists. But now, Jen, we're streamlining it. And we are I'm gonna present some options, and then you and I are gonna work together for our top 5 list here, 5 to 1, our favorite Ewok moments. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes, okay. You've compiled a fantastic list. I mean, we could go anywhere. We could even bring in the Ewoks animated series. We're not doing that. We're not going down that road, right? Yeah. But it's a pretty comprehensive list.
We could, if something pops up. But that's the thing. We might miss moments, and that's part of the point. So if you're listening on the podcast side, you're going to go ahead and want to reach out and let us know what your moments are. If you're watching here on the YouTube side, first of all, subscribe and give us a like and all those things that help us fight the ultimate power, the algorithm. But also leave a comment down below of some of your choices. That's the whole point of this. Similar to what we do with Subjective Wars, we highlight the fun of Star Wars. Those barroom debates, those playground debates, but they're never too serious. They're all about the love of Star Wars. And I want to acknowledge, too, this is Star Wars Ranked. Like I said, we started in 2016. Certainly not the first show that ranked things. Certainly not the first show that ranks things in Star Wars. But I want to acknowledge 2 great shows in the past. John Roca and Matt Notes' Top 10 show, which ran for years. I was on a couple times. Similar thing, ideas. We worked together to form a list. We Got This, produced by our friend Ken Plume, Hal Lublin, Mark Gugliardi. They do a great show. Check out We Got This. They just crossed their 500th episode. Same thing. We all come to the table with ideas, and we work through it. We talk about it. I think it's time for ForceCenter to apply that to Star Wars Rank. So a tip of the cap to those great shows. Jen, are you ready? Any thoughts on Ewoks? Actually, I do want to know one thing. When did you know you were an Ewok fan?
From back in the day, I remember, I don't even know how old I was, but back in the day in Tomorrowland, they had at Disneyland, they had Ewok plushes there. This was the 80s. And I remember seeing it and I didn't buy it. And it haunted me for years until many years later, I found my Nisa Ewok on eBay. It's in my collection somewhere upstairs. But that was a moment where it was like this pining for this plush, pining for plushies. And that was when I was like, I have to have this Ewok. I love them. They are part of my heart and my soul.
And it's Princess Nisa, who canon character.
Canon.
But often overlooked. She was from the cartoon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. But the Ewoks cartoon.
Yeah, but she was, to me, got overlooked. And I remember a moment I overlooked Nisa. I was talking about, I'd love to see in the sequel trilogy, just like early Collider days, Collider Jedi Council, I'd love to see, Wicket take over the village. And I was like, oh, wait, that's not Wicket's. That's Nisa's throne.
That's right.
That's Nisa's throne.
That's Nisa's place. And she is a wonderful leader. I highly recommend watching the Ewoks. I think that they actually have them on Disney Plus now. Back in the day, on YouTube, but they have them on Disney Plus.
I was so excited to start the show today. I forgot to turn my lights on. So if you're watching on the podcast or the YouTube side, that's why suddenly I'm a little brighter. Got my I Heart Murder Bear shirt, which we used to sell on TeePublic. I think it was Alex from Star Wars Minute designed it. But I think Uncle Bob made us take the shirt down.
Really?
Yeah.
Darn.
So
Oh.
maybe we'll put it up on our fourth wall shop if I can find the original art. All right. Without further ado, we are going to dive in here, Jen, and figure this out as we go. Like similar to Subjective Wars, where the metrics for the war emerges. I've got several moments. I'm going to run through them. We're going to discuss those moments and then make our list together, 5 to 1. These are our favorite Ewok moments, and I'll say this: I went down into the little. It's granular. Jen, it's granular. There's big moments, but I'm just thinking those moments that made our love of the Ewoks grow over the years. And you know, I was at one point maybe 13-year-old snot-nosed 13-year-old kid who thought the Ewoks sucked. I don't think that anymore, and it's in large part because of your unbridled love for the Ewoks. So thank you.
Thank you, and welcome. Welcome to the Yub Nub love.
In no particular order, though, I will say most of these are, of course, from Return of the Jedi. Here's what I got, Jen. Wicket hits himself in the head with a slingshot.
Love it.
Ewoks blow the victory horns. I'll say this. I'm thinking of the one at the end. The one, whether it's Yub Nubs playing or the victory celebration song. Check out our Subjective Wars debate on that. It's that particular moment because the horns blow throughout the indoor sequence. And I love them in the Ewok Hunt video game because they're scary. But I love that moment where the victory has been had and those victory horns blow from the Ewoks.
Yes.
Jump into Forces of Destiny. I did put in the Leia Gets Her Dress episode, written by my pal Jen Muro, which is, I think those shows are considered canon adjacent and everything. You know, the details might not be canon. They're open to interpretation. It's a fun show. But the idea of here's the answer. Leia finally got a dress. Wicket and Leia saved two of his friends on the way back to Bright Tree Village. Love that moment. The Walkling is scared. This is when 3PO flies. And the little moment of the poor little Walkling.
Oh.
Big one next on the list. Like I said, no particular order. Poplu steals a speeder bike.
Classic.
I also put, it's longtime ForceCenter listeners know this. The Ewoks recognize 3PO as a god. And then one Ewok says very clearly in English, that guy's wise.
Oh, no. I love it. Oh, this is going to be really difficult. How are we going to narrow this down?
I don't know, because I'm going to fight. I might fight hard for that moment. I did put Wicket saves Leia, Return of the Jedi. The entire sequence, I do love the moment where he just lightly taps speeder bike, a biker scout, I should say, with his his stick underneath a log, and that's enough to save the day. One personal moment, a lot of personal moments for me. Logray doesn't care about 3PO's magic thread. Love that moment where all the Ewoks are like, oh God, this golden god's going to use his magic. And Logray's like, no, everyone back to work. Doesn't work out for Logray. Chief Chirpa and the council elders decide to help. Big moment. It's Chirpa's biggest moment in the film. Looking at it, I love Chief Chirpa, but it's kind of his only moment. Wicket comforts Han during 3PO's story when he just gives him that hug on the leg. We learn of therapy Ewoks from Dr. Arsad in the Aftermath books. Chuck Wendig had one of the interludes put the idea that the Ewoks felt so grateful to the Republic for helping them, cast aside the oppression of the Empire that some of them went out to the galaxy and were kind of therapy Ewoks, which is interesting because it kind of casts the Ewoks as dogs of the galaxy, but. But I've always loved that idea that they make the choice. No, we're going to help, and we feel we're cute. We're going to go help people recover. It was a serious, it was dealing with soldiers and PTSD and everything, but it's so in the Star Wars galaxy that I've loved it. Ewoks spring the trap. This is specifically the moment where 3PO and R2 call the troopers over, and then with a mighty roar, the Ewoks jump on them, and the battle is on. Now I put the big sequence here. The Ewoks take out the ATSTs, and Jen, it's a dealer's choice situation. If you like one particular moment, tripping an ATSD with logs, squishing it, that's one of my favorites. I broke it down. I put a general. We can break it down. I did break down this moment. An Ewok hammers at an ATSD foot. Didn't go well. It was during the sequence of the battle that's dark, but I just love that guy hammering on the foot. Tripping up and lassoing speeder bikes. You can choose. We can choose which one's there. Ewoks in the ATSD with Chewie, and they laugh after destroying the other walker. Love that moment because it's a heroic moment. They blow up and they kill the other pilots, and the Ewoks are like, yeah, we killed them. But speaking of death, Nanta pays the ultimate price.
Oh, that's going to be controversial if we put this on this list.
I mean, but it is a favorite moment in a weird way. Oh gosh. Then, of course, playing the Stormtrooper helmets, and you have the figure behind. What is the name of that character again?
It's spelled Bretthupp. Breathup or Brett Hupp? I don't know if you can see it. There it is. Okay,
there it is.
Breathup.
Breathup. Yeah, it's a great figure. There it is.
It is a great figure.
Breathup. He is the Ewok drummer. All right, there we go. All right, so come on. That's a moment there too. Yeah. And then a couple more. Well, actually, one more. I went to Rise of Skywalker. Wicket and Pommet watched the fall of the Final Order. Brief little moment. I always am honest. I wanted more Ewoks in Rise of Skywalker. I wanted them to go back to Endor. Yeah. I don't know if that would have been accepted worldwide. Rise of Skywalker, I know has some problems worldwide anyways, but I love that film and I love that moment, but we put it there. We do want to shout out, this isn't about favorite characters, but we do, you and I both like Peekbod, the Ewok slicer from Last Shot, so if anyone out there has moments with him.
Yes.
All right. Thoughts on the list, Jen? The ranking's almost going to come into this. What immediately jumps out as some of your favorite moments? What works for you in Ewok moments?
There are some moments that just like they remind me of when I was a kid watching this movie. I recently saw this at a screening back on May the 4th, and hearing kids in the audience laughing or cheering at some of these moments, right? Because you can really see yourself as a kid. That's the beauty of the Ewoks, is that they do kind of represent the underdog, which is how children often feel, right? In this big, scary world. So but then you have Nanta's death, which is an important moment. That I'm like, we have to include that, because that shows that like war and battles are deadly. They're paying a price. They are sacrificing themselves for the rebels.
Yeah, that moment, we'll if it makes the list, we'll talk more details. But it is, it's certainly not the only Ewok that probably passed during the battle and paid the sacrifice. But they chose to highlight it.
Oh my God!
They chose to put it there, and I don't know what future generations felt when they watched it. The impact was probably the same, but I do put Nanta, and we didn't know Nanta was a name. That was kind of a non-canon name that's growing, and we kind of consider it canon, at least here in these parts. But Nanta's death, though not as remembered in terms of like the character and the name and everything, to many people it's just an Ewok that dies. But Nanta, Optimus Prime, the horse and never-ending story, and the quicksand, like it's for 80s kids, it was almost too real. It was a loss that kind of frightened you, but it was needed to tell the story.
It was needed, and my 5-year-old saw it, and they're like cheering. It's like it's taking you on this high where you're like, yes, they're defeating them, and then that happens, and it becomes so real. And my 5-year-old gasped, and she looked really concerned, and she turned to me and said, "Mama, is the Ewok dead?"
Sure.
It's not dead. I'm like, dead in this moment. Stuff is happening, and I'm in the middle of the movie theater, and I'm like, yes, badly hurt. Like I didn't know what to do, but she was really upset.
Okay,
but it was an important moment in the story.
Yeah, it is. I'm laughing because so there's my answer. Yeah, future generations, it's felt just as much. Now sit her down and make her watch Optimus Prime die.
Oh, no.
After you've begged your parents to go see Transformers the movie and Prime dies in front of you. There you go. All right. Going back to 1986 thing.
Yeah, that's why we haven't watched Neverending Story, because it traumatized me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Atreyu, right?
Atreyu. Jinx.
There you go. All right. So that's some moments. Yeah. And overall, yeah, trying to look at some of these moments. You highlighted something I love about a lot of them, which is there's so many like applause moments. There's even in this pretty intense battle, but there's these moments where it's victory. It is the underdogs. It is these cheers. You can almost the music, and this is the genius of John Williams' music in so many ways. Obviously, he understands the assignment, but the music itself in some of these moments are like cheers. It's almost the crowd applauding in my mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it comes down to, do we want the moments just to be like the memorable moments, or I feel like some of these moments really express who the Ewoks are as a culture, as a species, if you will. And so that's why I'm torn. But I would say the Leia getting her dress from Forces of Destiny, it filled in a gap that I had been wondering, and many of us have been wondering for years. And it also was a chance to introduce, younger fans to to Star Wars in a way without them having to watch like the live action films if they're too young for that, right? So it was kind of a beautiful moment. I kind of want it to be number 5.
If you're ready, okay. So here's this is, and we're figuring this out on the fly, everyone.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're not. No, you're not jumping ahead. It's a great time to start getting to the list because I think we're gonna have a lot of opinions, and it's not so much a debate; it's a negotiation. Okay. We're a Padme in the Trade Federation. What could have been if they negotiated? No. I really do like this idea of Forces of Destiny, and I have a list that I'm typing as I go here. Being number 1, because it did highlight. Here's what I like about the moment. It gives us an answer. The timeless question of how did Leia get their dress? Did they have it made? Did they size her up? Was there an ASMR dress fitting video of Ewoks measuring? Or as some people over the years have said, had they previously killed someone and then just had a dress?
It's a possibility. It was a possibility.
This was left over from dinner last week. Sorry. Can you fit it?
We had her for dinner. I'd be over for dinner.
Yeah. And the thing is, the Forces of Destiny episode doesn't answer that.
No.
When they get back to the village, the dress is packaged. It's even tied up in a bow. It's ready to go. She asks, my favorite lines is, does it come with a spear? Leia's ready to use it to fight. She's not just going to be thrown off into a dress into a corner. But she needs some, that Endor camo, probably went through the ringer. So maybe they're washing the clothes as well. Because she does get back in the clothes. She doesn't fight the Battle of Endor in the dress, which I'm glad, but also would have been kind of a hilarious visual.
Can you imagine?
No, it wouldn't have worked, but I would have loved that action figure of combat poncho, Ewok dress, helmet Leia figure. But one of the things I love about the episode, and I'll kick it back to you on this episode, is it does highlight one of the things that is all through Return of the Jedi, but definitely highlighted during the Battle of Endor, which is friendship. We could look at connection. But the poignancy of Star Wars shows up in surprising spots. And Leia is about, hey, thanks for helping me, but I got to go help my friends. And on the way back, Wicket sees 2 friends in trouble with 2 stormtroopers. And then Leia's kind of like, all right, let's go help your friends. It's an exchange. And all through the Battle of Endor, up in space, down on the ground, there's the concept of Han's my friend. We've got to give him more time, says Lando. Don't give up on my friends. We can't leave them down there. They're going to come through for us. And Ewoks and the rebels, they form a friendship. They're part of the tribe, but they form a friendship. So I like the highlight there of friendships. It's not just a dress. It's friends helping friends.
Yeah, it's the connection that they built and the connection that Leia establishes just by giving the little cookie and extending that olive branch. I love that. Yes. I mean, I just remember when I was a little bit older watching Return of the Jedi on VHS tape and seeing her when she emerges with the dress and the hair. It was just like this. She had clearly become a part of their community. They had accepted her and welcomed her, and she had this beautiful flowing hair. I just loved it.
See, I've always imagined like Princess Nisa to me is a princess of action, but she might have had like a version of Padme's handmaidens. I'd like to think that Nisa had some handmaidens that were kept the village safe and afloat and running. Chirpa, clearly, he's just in his throne, just smoking out, playing with his iguanas that are on his head. So there would have been some of Nisa's handmaidens that are like helping Leia get ready.
100%. Yes, yes. And then there's also something like, it's not just ceremonial, but like respectful, that she is now a part of their tribe, a part of their group, and she's going to wear the typical dress that they would wear, or that they've given somebody else that they ate.
They hate. But it's a big moment, and we're both in agreement. It's number 5 on our list. The Ewoks give Leia her dress, as featured in Forces of Destiny, with a little bit of the visuals from Return of the Jedi. But here's the thing, Jen, if that's our number 5, that's a pretty big moment. Which means if we're going to go into the weeds on some of the moments, we might, it's the list is going to be a big, small, big. Who knows? Who knows where it goes? Here's some of the contenders for number 4 for me. I do want to look at some of those smaller moments. Wicket hitting himself in the head with a slingshot.
Hilarious.
And I like that Jar Jar had a callback. It's a comedy callback when Jar Jar kind of does it in Phantom Menace. But that for me was top tier comedy for about 5 years in my life, from about 1983 to 1987, 88 range. Top tier comedy. Then I hit junior high. But Wicket hits himself in the head with a slingshot. The Walkling being scared.
Oh gosh, I love that.
Because there's nothing cuter than little baby Ewoks.
I mean, the Walklings still land. Like people were in the audience were just, oh, like you could just hear them. And the slingshot still lands. People were laughing.
Okay. Yeah. And then I also submit Wicket comforting Han when 3PO's telling the story with R2. We believe R2 over the years. R2's doing the sounds. I didn't grow up thinking R2 did the sounds.
Oh, you didn't?
I grew up thinking 3PO was doing it all. Which is probably what 3PO would want you to think. But am I wrong on that? That you
no.
Did you grow up thinking what? Did you grow up thinking R2? I think R2's doing the sounds.
No, I thought that 3PO did the sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not true?
I don't. I'm going to leave it to the audience to let us know. I didn't do the research on that today. Maybe I can call Alex at Star Wars Explained right now. Get him on speakerphone. Hey man, what happened? Looking at it now, there's something to the moment where 3PO's like, I'm getting to that R2. It's almost like R2's like, I got some great sounds lined up.
Oh, wow. All right.
But I could be wrong. But anyways,
you're right. That makes sense.
This is where I love the show. It goes to where we need it to go. But in that moment where T-Glow, Carbon, or Han Solo gets in the carbonite moment, and Wicket holds on to Han's leg. He gives him a hug.
It's so cute.
So
I can't take it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, okay, so this is for number 4.
For number 4. I want to go. I want to zero in on a small moment. Okay. So Wicket with the comedy, and look, these moments could go to other places too. If we don't use them here, we can use them elsewhere. But I'm campaigning for. I think what I'm campaigning for is Wicket with the slingshot.
I think so too. Like the Walklings in general are important because of their cuteness, and just knowing that there's like babies a part of this tribe was just like, oh, of course, there's families. It actually said so much. It was just that little puppet. It said so much. But that moment where it's a great moment with the slingshot because not everyone is great at their job. Sometimes we all have failures, right? And kids, don't mess around with slingshots because you might get hit in the face. So it's an important moment.
You're not lying about that. It's a safety moment. It definitely taught me as a kid. Because look, I grew up, and I know you were in this era too, Jen. I'm not joking. My dad had a set of lawn jarts that were eventually, because it killed some poor kid or something, so the urban legend goes, and they banned them. So you can't tell me this country can't come together and ban things that are used to harm children or worse. Not to get serious there. I grew up in that generation, and Wicket hitting himself in the head, I shied away from slingshots.
See?
Which were big in my church community because, David used one on Goliath, right? Like, come on. It's biblical. But I was like, Wicked got hurt. Wicked got hurt.
Wow.
I think that's the moment then, Jen. The other ones are in
Yes.
play.
Mm-hmm.
But number 4, when we'll summarize the list at the end, Wicked hits himself in the head with a slingshot. High comedy, important warning, but thematically, yeah, you don't have to be. This is a big Return of the Jedi theme.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of what makes one great. It's not necessarily being good at wars, even though you have to fight them. And Wicked, he's proven some bravery already, shown some courage. But here he is, and he's not going to let that stop him. He's still going to be in the fight.
That's right. I love it. That's our number 4.
That's a number 4. But now number 3, we got some big moments.
Okay.
And we're going to have to face the fact some of these moments are going to be left on the cutting room floor, and that's going to be okay.
Yeah. It's not killing the puppies, as they say in editing. It's going to be killing the Ewoks.
It's not. We're killing a Nanta, which
no.
might be the slot. Where do you go? What do you want to put out there for number 3?
Okay, so we have a comedic moment. Okay, we have a friendship moment. Okay, then I won't go to another comedy moment, which would have been Paplo stealing the speeder bike, because that's just kind of funny. But it's also adventurous.
Okay. Put
Um,
a pin in that one. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see where they actually are fierce warriors. Let's get a moment.
Okay.
So maybe like either the springing the trap, or taking out the ATSTs, or should we save that towards a higher slot?
I think this is a good. You're in a good spot. You're thinking good here, because what stands the test of time is the Ewoks' actions.
Right.
And we can break it down and look, hey, we could even cheat and say it's the entire defeating of the Empire. That's an option. I'll say that.
Okay.
But what I like, Ewoks taking out the ATSTs, it comes down to what's your favorite one. My favorite has always been, I love the violence of the logs crushing it. Only because it's a great behind the scenes moment too, as a kid too, watching that and watching them have to crush the little model they made. But I love, because it's basically me trying to do exercise. When they trip up the one with the logs that just rolls down the hill and it does the whole like the ATST is actually making sounds like, whoa, no, like the machine itself is.
Oh,
and
okay. Yes,
it's using the land, it's using the terrain, their territory. But so I'm not sold on that moment. I'll counter with this though, and I want to know what you think here. First of all, the Ewok hammering an AT-ST foot might not make my top 5, but it's maybe top 6. Like just that brave, courageous pounding of a metal foot that's not even felt. But going to the 3PO and R2 do call them over, so it involves the droids, but 3PO is the golden god here. But that moment where, the trap is sprung, hey, over here, come get these little robots, and the Ewoks jump out.
Yeah.
And that's where Williams' music kind of connects with the moment for me, where they're committed, fearless in this thing. And Logray's there. I give Logray some crap over the years. I don't trust him completely. He's a little bit of worm tongue in the ear there. But he's there. He's in the fight. So they jump in. So that's why it's a big moment for me too. So it could come down to your favorite, and the speeder bike moments too, Jen.
I know.
Do you have a specific speeder bike moment you like with them, other than actually stealing one?
That's the one that comes to mind. The log one though is just such a great visual, and it's like it's cathartic watching it. And now I'm worried. Is this bad to put it at number 3? Their fighting skills, because I feel like maybe should it be higher?
No. I think this is a good spot because we're choosing something specific.
Okay.
Because overall, their legacy is they helped topple the Empire. Without them, quite frankly, without Chewie pulling that trap, who knows what happens?
Exactly.
And it's Leia giving Wicket the treat, which is her seeing the least of us and going, this is an ally, not an enemy, versus the Empire. That's like, these dumb bears are on this planet. But if we go to a specific moment,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think and it's also memorable. I guess for you, it's like as a kid, was it the ATST tripping and making those tripping sounds, or was it two logs squishing a head to get off of the ATST?
Or was it the group jumping out of Ewoks?
Or was that? Yeah. So it's at that moment, or this brave, heroic choice to spring the trap.
I
All are
love
heroic.
I know.
We're not
There is
undercutting the Ewoks.
no. I mean, the thing about the ATST that was powerful for me was showing that this technology, which is terrifying, right?
Right.
That seems impossible to defeat, was not only able to be defeated, but then it's comical in its demise. So
Yeah.
that's
Ooh.
powerful,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
It's really the battle of like tech versus something that's seen as more quote unquote primitive, but
Yeah.
it's just as effective, if and obviously not more.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
I feel like that was kind of what George Lucas was really trying to convey. But
Yeah.
seeing a band of furry warriors is it's comical, but that's also powerful because
It's
there they
triumphant.
are. Yeah, right.
But here's what I like. That I reacted to something you said there. We're talking about the ATSD stepping on the pile of logs, tripping comically, falling, and exploding on impact. By the way,
Right.
the ATSD is not built strong.
No.
Chicken walkers, not built strong. If only they had known that on Sorgan before Din Djarin and Cara Dune helped them destroy that ATSD dinosaur.
Oh my God.
And quite frankly, I think that episode has the spirit of it. Like once you can get into the water, it falls, it explodes. But I like what you said, that it is very much about this indigenous species to this land that the Empire's taken over. The Empire up until that moment, it is an Ewok using a tiny little hammer to smack the foot of this oppressive monster that cannot be taken down.
Right.
Until they rise up, until they use their resources, their land, until they connect and form, and the rebels see them as help, and they take in the rebel. Up until that moment, up until 3PO says, "We are now part of the tribe," you don't know what's going to happen. The rebels in that moment. So I like what you said, Jen, that it is the picture of the mighty Empire. That once you stand up against them, once Marva says "F the Empire," as people wanted her to say in Andor, they will fall. And the comic approach to it here in this moment, which is historic to me, because I have reenacted that scene so many times, even sometimes by myself. Falls. But that once you stand up to oppression, to these fascists, they got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And their fall is even comical. It's needed, but it's comical. And pathetic. It's comical. We're saying in the movie it's comical. It's pathetic, right?
Yes.
It's pathetic.
Ooh,
Okay.
well, all right. There it is.
You won me over for Ewoks.
Okay.
Take down an ATSD with a pile of logs.
Oh, okay.
But it's only going to get harder. We're up to number 2 choice.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Where do you go? Where do you go?
See, man, it's really hard. This is exactly where I knew the list was going to go. Man, I love like Wicked and Pommet watching the Final Order be destroyed. I love that shot, but it's really just a shot. Therapy Ewoks is a great concept. It's a concept more than a moment. I feel this is where go with me here, Jen.
Okay.
I'm stuck between 2 moments that are almost directly opposite of each other.
Oh.
If someone says to me, out and about, outside of the walls of ForceCenter, Ken, do you like the Ewoks? I usually go, oh my God, I love the Ewoks. In fact, I love that moment when the guy goes, that guy's wise. My friends and I from high school, my friend Joel and I think we still speak to each other like that. I'll be like, hey buddy, how you doing? He goes, that guy's wise. Like, it's just a legendary moment that if they had done that moment in a Disney Plus show or episode 7, 8, or 9 or anything, you would have had the rage baiters going off for weeks about how an Ewok said that guy's wise.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that moment.
That's a good moment.
On the other side, we're at top 2 here, Jen. I kind of have to put in Nanta and his death
Oh, yes. Oh.
because that's the other moment, and it weighs heavily on the hearts and soul of kids of the 80s, and as you've reminded me today, kids of all generations that are first faced with the death of an Ewok.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to killing the dog. It's close to Hooch and Turner and Hooch. It's a spoiler, I guess I should say.
I was gonna say, does he die?
It's one. I think it's the famous moment, and Tom Hanks has always said like that was the biggest thing we said. Sorry, it's a 40-year. Sorry, kids. But so it's like when I think of Ewoks, Jen, and this is your list as much as mine. I think of That Guy's Wise, and I think of the cost of the war. They didn't just sign up to defend their village, and it's all roses in stormtrooper helmets, which is another moment. But it's a favorite moment of mine because it makes it all real. We're having fun. These silly little teddy bears that are for marketing, that are plushies. Yeah, I got it all. Not Mark I, but Gary Kurtz, turning his back on George because he wanted to sell toys. And I'm generalizing a long-held story that's known. That's where I go. So I put it to you, Jen. And it doesn't have to be That Guy's Wise. It could be it could be the Walkling is Scared. I don't know. But if Nanta's going to make the list, it's not number one.
No.
But I think it could be number two. Or do you go to memorable comedy aside?
No. It has to be Nanta because because up until that point, you feel like when you're watching it, I'm trying to imagine back when I was a child, you feel like I'll become almost invincible, right? There's a moment where you're like, this is never going to happen. Then you see them succeeding and you're like, oh, of course it's going to be easy, but it's never easy. And there is a price to pay. And we see that in that moment. Quite frankly, it's braver than some of the things that we've gotten in TV shows now where they're afraid to kill off the characters, right? So this is daring. It's a bold choice, George. It's a bold choice. Richard Marquand.
I don't think it was Marquand's choice.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No disrespect to the late Richard Marquand. I don't mean to stop your wonderful words there, but in your research, you have researched Star Wars so much over the years, putting together these Jedi beats and all these things. Have you ever come across any footage or any words about George Lucas's thoughts on the death of Nanta?
That's a good question. I can't think of anything at the moment. No, because it isn't really like. He said, that he wanted the Ewoks to be able to appeal to kids. And then he's going to throw that in there, right? He's trying to tell them this is the price that people are going to have to pay. It is not a fairy tale, even though, yes, they are furry little creatures.
I would love it because I would love to find something. This is where I'd love, Showstack or, someone out there who has access to some of these archives who put together, some of these lists. The Paul Duncan books are some of I just sit and read them, and there's so many wonderful George quotes. The James, I hope there's a clip. Someone find me some B-roll from that James Cameron interview. I want George Lucas in his older kind of, I'm just going to tell it like it is, advancing years, sitting with James Cameron going, and then I killed the Ewok because that was the cost. This was Vietnam, and they rose up to die. I want the serious George explanation that's a little over the top about Nanta's death. I don't know if it's out there.
I mean,
I'm putting it out there.
It's like graphic, even though there's no blood or anything like that I can recall.
So sad.
It's just sad.
The music, and this is around the time like the Emperor is cackling. One of my favorite cuts in Star Wars is the AT-ST destroys the trees, like they explode like they're twigs, and then you do the fast cut to the space scene. It's the Order 66 of its time, Jen. It's that sequence where the music and you're like, this is not going good. This is not going good.
Yeah.
And Nanta's part of that. So, all right. But I think we've agreed that Nanta's death is number 2 on our list.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We did that one. Okay. Now this is the toughie.
This is the toughie. Okay. I guess we should put some candidates down for number 1, Jen. Of what's left or what we haven't used. Where do you go? What are some of the candidates for number 1?
I'm going to go with playing the Stormtrooper helmets. And the reason why is it's not just like a fun visual, right? Enough that they
Mm,
would make a little mini statue of. It
yes.
it's a representation of their victory, and obviously we know that it's fleeting, but it's just a moment that's just fun and wicked, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of dark to play the
Yeah.
helmet, but it's
It's
celebratory and victorious.
and it's connected to an infamous aspect of the Ewoks that's been used for comedy fodder. The idea, just what I'm getting at is, of course, the Ewoks, eat people. Now, again, we saw them about to cook Han and Luke, and eventually Chewie. That would have been tougher, but which is funny in its own regard. And Ewoks kind of whistling a happy little tune while they about to burn these humans is funny. But there was that point. I don't know about you, but look, I'm 7 when I'm seeing this film. I did not come out of the film going, "Oh, Ewoks eat people."
No,
It was later.
it was later. I mean, yeah, I don't know what I thought that they were gonna do with them.
Just
Roast
burn
and
them.
boil them down. I don't know.
Here's the thing, and we can get into the weeds in this moment. This is part of the fun. First of all, so we don't know that they certainly didn't. The empty stormtrooper pilot helmets and scout helmets aren't indicating that they ate those troopers before the celebration. But I do think they might be on ice for later or part of the meal. And I know some people might say Princess and Scoundrel has some answers. Which, by the way, the book, the Princess and Scoundrel book, has some great Ewok culture building in there and world building. That could be a moment itself too. But we don't know that they eat them.
No.
They could. That's just been a myth that grew out of the moment. They could burn them and take what's left to fashion into weaponry. Take some of Han's boots and make it into a hat. Take the bones. I think they might be more interested in the bones.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think that they don't want to let anything go to waste as a culture, which is what I'm getting. So they are going to
It's a
use
carbon
every
zero
part of the
culture.
trooper.
Yeah, it's a carbon zero culture.
Yeah, so bones, the teeth, the hair they might fashion into something for their outfits. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So that's
Yeah.
so you're putting that up there, but we're getting into the comedy of it, the comedy weeds of it here. But what you're saying is this war. We just went through not just this Battle of Endor, but went through 3 pictures. We got 3 George Lucas pictures here. Spielberg would say Capra makes Capra pictures, Ford makes Ford pictures, Lucas makes Lucas pictures. We've got 3 George Lucas pictures. We got this War in the Stars, in which the lesson is rise up, fight against oppression, but sometimes compassion, connection, friendship has worked. But this is a visual that says the victory was pretty solid. Yes, I know the Battle of Jakku, which I love the Battle of Jakku. Yes, the story goes on. Totally get it. Totally get it. If you have a problem with that or don't, not about our episode, not in our episode today. This is the big finale, and one of the final visuals is similar to the ATSD. Is we're using your heads as a sound of victory music.
That's it. That's it. Oh,
Okay.
So my contender.
Okay, that's one of your contenders here. I am gonna submit. I have to admit it's a personal favorite moment, but you can push me off of it because we're not done here.
Okay.
Though I did tell you we can get this episode done in about 30 minutes in ForceCenter fashion. That's not happening today. But we're almost done here. Poplu's stealing the speeder bike.
Oh.
Our friend has done something rather brash, right? I believe I'm bad with Star Wars quotes, as people know from the Schmodown days. Not only did I love that as a kid, and you and I share something we didn't know till this year, where we had, as growing up, we both had trees in our backyard that we could use for Star Wars vehicles if we were playing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I had the palm trees growing out kind of at a weird angle that I could climb up on and use the speeder bikes. And this is a scene I reenacted a lot. I think often I was the biker scout chasing Poplu.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I know. A little darker. And you did this as well, right?
I did. But it's because I saw myself in the Ewok doing something rash. it's just such a bold move. It speaks to the character
It
of that
speaks to the
Ewok.
character. It speaks to what's coming with the Ewoks. It speaks to the, I don't want to even say the improvisational and the, way of fighting, because I also think they, with the logs and everything, how they took out the ATSDs, I think that was part of their plan. But, they planned for these kind of defenses. They just were waiting for the help. But Poplu is a legend in my mind. I have always suggested that Poplu's always a little bit drunk. He owes people some money. He's kind of that guy. He's that Ewok in the friend group.
Yeah, we all have one.
We all have one. Poplu's the Ewok's one. And I think he's the guy, been watching baseball docs lately. He's Kevin Millar of the 2004 Red Sox saying, we're a bunch of idiots. We don't know better. We can't lose because we don't know how to lose. Everyone do shots of whiskey. Let's do this.
Wow.
Poplu is the don't let us win today guy. And I think he took a shot of whiskey off camera, charged down there. Because in his mind, he's like, oh, we need to distract those guys? I got it.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
And it's, as a kid, going to comedy moments, but it's beyond just a comedy moment. It's important. It turns the tide of the war. But I'm submitting that. But at the end of that, the other side of that is what you're submitting, which is the very symbol of victory for the Ewoks. That's big.
I don't know, because again, both moments play in front of an audience. It's an unexpected moment with Poplu and the speeder bike.
Yeah.
It's a moment where you're like, what's gonna happen? And this is just this. It seems like a bad move, especially because the Ewoks aren't too familiar with tech. But it's such a classic moment.
It's a classic moment, but versus the classic symbol of victory, which has also been turned to a symbol of Ewok comedy or Ewok viciousness, which I think is, whether or not they actually ate people, that's a debate for another time. But it's definitely part of that conversation. But it's a symbol of victory versus, the actual actions they took to do the victory. I'm torn. I'm not going to cheat and say we're going to tie, Jen, but I am going to say what strikes a larger chord in your Ewok loving heart. You are the Ewok fan that changed my heart, helped change Joseph's heart. You probably have helped other people in the world over the course of your digital media career appreciate the Ewoks more than anyone.
Okay. You know what?
Victory actions, symbol of victory.
Here's the thing. Ewoks don't see themselves as funny per se. Like, we find these moments funny, but they are very serious. They are a very serious species.
Logray's pretty damn serious. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're not going to get into the Ewoks animated show because there's a lot of comedy there. But I think what the Ewoks would want to be remembered by is Poplu with the speeder bike. It's daring, it's unpredictable, it's risky, it's doing something for the greater good. And I think that they would want to be remembered for a moment like that, as to how they got to playing the trooper helmets.
Breath Up is thinking, I can't play my drum set without the actions of people like Poplu.
There you go.
Or Nanta.
The heroes.
And he throws one out, pours one out for Nanta. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that might be the answer then, Jen. We have a classic moment that is etched in time forever with the wonderful figure you have back there, which the review is up on our Shorts channel. Maybe we'll link to that. But I think it's a personal favorite moment of mine, so this sounds like I'm cheating a little bit, but the spirit of Poplu, him being drunk's not canon. That's Ken canon. But the spirit of Poplu rising up, they're down 3-0 in a championship series.
Yeah.
The music's swelling. Palpatine's cackling. It's that I know that comes later in the battle, but this is like all that. This is the spirit of the time.
Yes.
But Poplu says, nah. Don't let us win today. If we win now in this moment, we're going to win the game. We're going to win the series. It's bad for you. I agree with you, Jen. It is the actions of victory that led to the symbol of victory. I think I'm sold. You
Yep.
sold?
I'm 100% sold.
That is
Great
it.
one.
That is our final moment. Poplu steals a speeder bike. So, to summarize, number 5 of our favorite Ewok moments. The Ewoks give Leia her dress from Forces of Destiny, answering a long-held story. Wicket hits himself in the head with a slingshot because why not have a comical moment that changed the life of this 7-year-old? Be on this list. Ewoks take down an ATST with a pile of logs. It's both comical, but it's important. It is an action of victory. And it's memorable. And if I get really drunk at a party, I'll probably reenact it if you just ask, or on a wedding dance floor. Number 2, the cost of victory, Nanta dies. Tip of cap for Nanta. But number 1, Poplu steals a speeder bike, letting the rebels get in, eventually, to the shield bunker and win the day. You just got to give them more time. And friends help friends, and Poplu is that guy. He is that Ewok. That's our list.
I love it. We did it. Oh, I didn't know. I was like, this list is going to be a list of 10 because they're all great in my mind.
It's hard. We always used to have honorable mentions. What used to extend this show into a length where now we'd be like, Joseph and I would be like, we're going to record today 30 minutes. But it's just, we can't, it's hard to leave things on the table as Star Wars fans. It really is.
I know.
But we did today.
All favorites.
So if you're out there listening or watching, we want to know your list. Comment down below. It's not a debate. It's not a fight. It's just adding on your own joy. Comment your 5 or some of your favorites or even moments we didn't consider. If you're listening on a podcast, we love that too because that's still our heart of our show. But reach out on social media. You can find us at ForceCenter Pod across social media platforms. But like Blue Sky and Threads right now, where we're focusing on Instagram, YouTube as well. Thanks for watching here. Comment, like I said, but also subscribe. Hit that like button and help us fight the evil empire of the algorithm. And you can get merch at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. As Brian Ward will tell you, they used to love putting claims on a lot of things. So this shirt is might be a relic. But also at Fourth Walls, where we'll try to repost some of our shirts. So that link is down below on YouTube. Support us at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Me at Catnapsock. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
I want a Murder Bear shirt. Hopefully we can make that happen. You can find me on most of the social media sites at Jennifer Landa or TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138.
There you go. We did it. Episode 149 of Star Wars Ranked. 149th episode. It's been a while, but it's it. It's back. Star Wars has been ranked.